My name's David McGavran. I'm the CEO of Maxon Computer. We make amazing 3D products like Cinema 4D, Redshift, and we also work in the motion graphics world with Red Giant.
I am one of the owners and creative director at Lunar Animation, which is a studio that kind of makes really nice CGI animation. We work and do commercials, video game trailers. We work on feature films, things like that.
Sponsored by Brilliant. And so, David, what is the big news we're getting this week, or today, actually?
We're finally announcing Redshift is production ready on the Mac. We've been in beta for a few months, and so we're extremely excited to bring that out. We're also announcing the new Maxon look and feel, and also Cinema 4D S24. So we got a lot of good things coming out today.
Now, is this both Intel and M1 Mac? Is one coming before the other? Are they both available right away?
So that's actually the biggest thing about the Redshift port we did, is we ported it to Apple's Metal technology. So the Intel one's been in test for a while, and that's ready to download this week. We're not exactly sure what minute it goes up, but it'll be available this week. The M1 support is done internally, but we're also going to be working with Apple. It needs to be released with 11.3. So when that's available, then we'll have the M1 version come on as well.
That's one of the things I find super interesting about Metal, is that it's almost this abstraction layer that sits on top of whatever powerful GPU cores you have behind it. And then as long as you're targeting Metal, you get the full value of those GPU cores.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a new GPU technology, but it runs in that space for compute, is where CUDA also plays. And obviously, if you can support Metal, then it makes your life easier on the Mac platform, because you can support the M1 and the Intel chipsets regardless, as long as the Metal platform is at the right level. And with 11.3, we'll be there with M1 and Intel together, and then Redshift will run on both. So it's a big benefit to the developers.
And I know some people aren't, certain what a CPU is, what a GPU is, what all of these things do, but there's been so many examples of software recently where as soon as they announce GPU acceleration, everyone just knows their lives get better and faster. Is that sort of what GPU gives us in these situations?
Yeah, generally that's the easiest way to put it. I mean, CPUs have their strengths and GPUs have their strengths. And GPU strength is in massive parallelization. And so Redshift on the GPU was always developed from the start to take advantage of that piece on the GPU. And so when you're running on the GPU for technology that's massively parallelizable, like rendering, you get extremely good performance. And so for something like Redshift, it's critical that we bring it out on the GPU.
And James, so someone who uses this technology, what does it mean to you just in general, and now that it's coming to the latest, greatest Macs?
For us, it's been a really interesting thing to start testing, because I think we started using the betas a couple of months ago, and the performance gains were massive. And one of the pain points we were generally sort of having is with effects. Effects really take a long time to render. And I'm talking about smoke simulations, liquid simulations, all of those kind of effects where you have to simulate it, which you can also do on the GPU, but then you can actually render it using Redshift. For us has been a huge advantage. And then we're actually got a project right now. This is a game trailer for a game called Mythic Legends, which has been released by Outfit 7. That particular game trailer has about, I think it's like 110 different effects. And we rendered all of those on a one Mac Pro, which is crazy. And normally what we'd have had to have done is take those simulation caches into the studio, because these things are massive. You've got files which are, you can have like a one frame being 3 gigabytes, So, to move that amount of data, you can't just easily upload it from people's connections. So it's been incredible just to be able to render it there and then on a Mac Pro.
David, where do you see demand coming from in the market for Macs? Is it a particular kind of customer or studio or project that wants to use Redshift primarily on Macs?
A certain segment of the 3D industry is very heavily Windows-based, and I think a lot of people would say that. But if you look at Cinema 4D, historically, it's always been a huge part of our customer base, which uses the Mac and loves the Mac. I think we have a lot of use in the motion graphics segment in broadcast video, and a lot of those people will come with using Macs. They might have been Final Cut users or other Adobe products that run on the Mac. So for us, it's extremely important to support our Mac customers. And we were there with Cinema 4D on day one with an M1 release. So we're constantly trying to make sure that our Mac customers can use the latest and greatest from Apple. And so we work very closely with Apple to make this happen. And so for us, it's a huge part of our business that now has access to GPU acceleration, where it wasn't really easy before this announcement.
Is that sort of apply to you, James, that you can have all the tools that you want in the ecosystem that you're using?
Because at the minute, we're just using it for effects, right? Long term, there's all kinds of possibilities, which is pretty exciting. To give you an idea in terms of like just how much faster this is. It's like even though we're using a 28-core CPU, we can render one frame in 26 minutes and with Redshift, it's like 58 seconds, which is just absolutely, it's an insane improvement in speed. Now we're doing that with the effects. If we can then start looking at, well, maybe we can render some of the different, whether it's backgrounds, foregrounds, characters, and start to move more of the pipeline over. It kind of has, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that's going to just help do things faster and better within the studio. So
yeah, and it's interesting. I come from the video space. I was working on Premiere Pro for most of my career, and video sort of transitioned to to mostly real time, probably even 10 years ago, where you can do most of your stuff in real time. And 3D, in segments, Redshift's been out for a while, so it's been there in certain segments of the market for a lot. But to bring this level of performance to the Mac users out there with the level of performance that you get in a Mac Pro is a game changer for them.
We have the first generation, the M1 Max, but Apple has said they're doing a full transition over the course of the next year. We'll be getting much more powerful Apple Silicon Macs. Just as a fan of the technology in the industry, what are you most looking forward to now that Redshift is making this transition with them?
There's so many things we can do with all of the technology that we have between the Red Giant product lines, Forger, Redshift, and Cinema 4D, taking all of that amazing technology and then bringing it in different ways to different segments of the market, whether you're using a mobile device or whether you're using a desktop, whether you're using a Mac Pro or a laptop. All of these things can now run all of our technology at amazing performance. And so you can imagine what we might be able to do when you start adding mobile platforms, doing sculpting with an Apple Pencil on an iPad, and some technology like Redshift, what now is actually capable to run because Apple has Metal running across these ecosystems. So I think we just have an unlimited amount of possibilities with Apple and our tech set of technology to do things that were never possible before.
So James, what it sounds like he's saying is that all of the people like you are going to be able to make even better versions of all of the amazing projects that we're going to love next.
I own an animation studio, and one of the most important things is making sure the artists can do as much as possible in their day's work. And this is the perfect kind of thing that's going to help with that. Utilizing those GPUs that are in a Mac Pro, for example.
Please come take a look at the 3D design tour. We have amazing training and all information about all our new releases this week and next week. We constantly have our trainers going online and giving live training on how to use these technologies. Hopefully make you excited to change the world with your art going forward.
This stuff is all just the cutting edge of making all the movies and all the TV shows and all the video games that I love most. And if you want to become part of it, I recommend you start with Brilliant. They teach everything from algorithms to neural networks, machine learning, math, science, computer science, logic and deduction, physics, quantum mechanics, game theory, cryptocurrency, and so much more, all with instant feedback that coaches you bit by bit so you can learn fundamental concepts and rapidly improve, literally before you even realize it. Because Brilliant is a website and app built on learning while doing and solving real challenges in real time, with no memorizing long, messy formulas or fact sheets, no tests, no grades. Just go to brilliant.org/Rene Ritchie and click the link in the description. Pick a course and get started now, today. Brilliant.org/Rene Ritchie. And clicking on that link really helps out the channel. Hit the playlist above for more, much more on Apple's current and next generation Macs. I'm going through every product, every feature. So hit that playlist, and I'll see you in the next video.